Hey, what's up everyone? All my yachty legends out there. How's your floating circus today? I'm Erica, welcome back to the channel, and I want to talk to you. If you've been in yachting more than 5 minutes and you're still working 11 months a year with 4 days off, it's time to discuss rotation. So let's get into that today. Let's talk about how it works, why it's not just for captains and engineers anymore, and who should get it. This is an article I wrote for Dock Walk. I've also written one for Onboard, and I've written various documents and emails supporting rotation and explaining the ins and outs of it for captains and heads of departments to present to the owners, and also for management companies. So if you want anything in writing, do drop me a line. And if we can convince your owners to go roto, I'm right there with you. Okay, let's get into it. So, for many, a rotational yachting role really is the holy grail. Still mostly only prevalent on larger yachts, yet seen as the norm in the commercial shipping sector, why has it not yet been fully embraced in the superyacht industry? When MLC came into force, it did seem, for a period, that rotation was the best solution to help achieve the working conditions laid out within. But what is the owner's financial motivation to offer rotation when there are still crews seeking full-time roles? And is rotation really as great as we all think it is? Well, we all know that adequate downtime is imperative for keeping crew healthy and happy. Yes, it's more expensive to have 2 crew instead of 1, but there's financial savings to be made with regards to not having to recruit and retrain new crew every season due to burnout. The more senior the role, the more important this is. For example, engineers need time to familiarise and get up to date with onboard systems, manuals and procedures. Plus the owner gets continuity, the same faces when he or she comes on board, which many claim is very important to them. Rotation may cost the vessel owner more in salary, but the increase in efficiency, productivity, crew retention, vessel-specific knowledge, reduction in mistakes, poor workmanship, plus long-term safety should easily outweigh that financial input. Chef Annie told us how she worked for a year as sous chef on a 60-metre motor yacht. It was crazy busy. We were on back-to-back charters with an average of probably 1 day off a month. I did 50% of the guest food plus all the crew food. I was always tired, struggling to think of new and creative ideas, and the boat was too busy for me to take my 6 weeks holiday. So within 12 months, I had less than 3 weeks off, which was spent frantically seeing doctors, dentists, orthodontists, chiropractors, family and friends, and trying to catch up on sleep and sunshine, eating at restaurants and dreading going back to work. She knew something had to change for her health's sake, so she quit and found herself a 2-month on and off rotation on a 70-metre. Annie is so much happier now and has rekindled her love for cooking. I am more creative and experimental with food than I have ever been. When I have my time off, I eat at restaurants, read cookbooks, do courses and stages in restaurants to learn new techniques and bounce ideas off other chefs. I also create a draft book of ideas and things to try when I get back to work, and I actually can't wait to return. Rotation has made Annie a better chef by giving her the time and freedom to continue her culinary journey. Engineer James told us he wouldn't pursue full-time roles again as it drove him close to burnout. Engineers are always working. On charter, they're as busy as the rest of crew, ensuring the smooth running of the yacht, often solving various issues behind the scenes whilst carrying out all routine maintenance, he says, which is a full-time job in itself. When charters end and the yacht docks, the rest of the crew usually get the opportunity for some downtime and lighter work schedules. The engineer does not. This is when he or she must fix everything that broke during the season, carry out major repairs, coordinate yard periods, refits, manage and oversee contractors, deal with warranty and yard issues, organise surveys, haul-outs, etc., etc. When the rest of the crew are able to rest and recover from the long hours of the season, the engineering department only gets busier. Post-yard, they're back on the water, the guests return, and so the cycle is repeated. There's no quiet time for engineers, he says. This obviously puts a major strain on this department, which leads to inevitable fatigue. Tired crew in important positions can result in accidents. Mistakes can happen. Quality of workmanship can slip. Not what we want on multi-million-dollar vessels. Exhaustion is the main problem in retaining good engineers. They simply burn out, and a few weeks a year off is not enough to fully recharge and be ready to work 11 months straight. Most engineers who work full-time will last a year at best. Often it's only a season, so the vessel will have to source a new team member who has to familiarise, which costs them valuable time and money, as mentioned previously. Since rotation was introduced, engineer retention has increased vastly. Engineers are far more likely to stay loyal to a captain, owner and programme when rotation is offered. Pay is less than full-time, of course, usually about 2/3 of a full-time wage, but is still times 12 for job security and benefits retained, so health insurance, for example. Fewer health issues associated with overworking, fewer mistakes, much higher productivity, and the added benefit of having 2 qualified engineers during yard and refit periods who know the vessel inside out and all her quirks and systems. It just eases pressure on the captain too. From a captain's point of view, family is also a major player. Captain Stewart is making the move from a 47-metre motor yacht to a rotational role on a larger new build later this year. His main motivator? Family. He says, "Although my owners have been great to me and I'll be very sad to leave, I was only able to see my wife and daughter for 9 days out of a 90-day season during the Caribbean run. Now having embarked on the med season, I won't be home for another 3 months. I'm passionate about my job and love what I do, but I don't want to miss my daughter growing up or harm my marriage in the process." Now for crew with family ashore, rotation allows you to find a better balance. In your off time, you can really focus on your family and give them your undivided attention, knowing that your equal is on board and running the show. As Stuart said, "My owners were generous with time at home, but being the only captain, I was constantly on my phone or computer, even on holiday, which is unfair to my wife and daughter, who already get so little time with me." So we know the positives, but what about the negatives? Rotation is still fairly new to yachting, and many programs are still finding their feet. As with anything, it's hard to get it right first time and may need some adjustments from the outset in order to achieve success. For a start, the opposites must be similar and complementary in their way of working. At senior level, this is imperative to avoid disruption to the rest of the crew. Chef Spike told us, "I worked with 2 captains and the difference in management styles was huge. One chilled and his opposite super uptight. It was very hard for the crew to adjust every 10 weeks. Engineer Mark echoed this. "One of the captains was the best I'd ever worked with. The other was an idiot who everybody dreaded coming back. The difference in atmosphere on board was massive." And then there's the saboteurs. From Chief Mate Bob, whose opposite, along with his best friend, the new opposite captain, had their own agenda to effectively take over the yacht and get their friends on board with lies and deception to the owner. He says, "Having been stabbed in the back, I would think twice now about rotation. The saddest part was the owner believing these new guys over myself and the captain, who'd been with him for several years. We've since been contacted by the management company to say the new team have absolutely destroyed the yacht and have all been fired, so nobody won." Both parties must be fully committed to their job responsibilities. If one is constantly picking up the slack left over from the other, then again, rotation isn't going to work. Captain Carl feels quite strongly on the matter. "I personally still think rotation is, for the most part, stupid, and am yet to hear of it working perfectly. There are just too many issues that arise, not least consistency and reliability in the other guy. In my last position, the guy I rotated with was so inept it was actually laughable, but was just how the owners liked it, despite telling me he was too casual in the workplace. The rest of the world works 11 to 11 and a half months a year, so why can't we? Yes, I understand the family thing, but in days gone by you went to sea, meaning you went to sea, and did so often to support your family. And if that meant you did not see them much, then so be it. They were being fed and housed because of you being away." I'm sure everyone will disagree with this point. "I like work and enjoy what I do and get a kick out of doing it well." All right, Carl, fair enough. There's definitely still a market for non-rotational roles as well. So rotation is not always the best career move either. For example, if you've just achieved your chief officer ticket, it might be prudent to work full-time for a few years more in order to make sure that you get that valuable bridge time and officer experience. And then it will mean you progress faster in your career. Some yachts use rotation in order to develop their junior crew and help them move up the ranks faster. For example, when the captain goes on leave, the chief officer steps up into a junior captain role. Usually this could be, to start with, for deliveries and yard periods when there's no guests on. During this time, the bosun would step up into the chief officer role, thus getting more bridge and officer time. A deckhand would step up into the bosun role, and so on and so forth. Captain Steve has been using a similar system on board the large sail yacht he runs, and now they've reached a stage where his junior captain will be rotating time for time with him. As he states, one big plus is that if managed well, it can encourage development of crew from within the boat. This is where the system we had came into its own. And for my co-captain, not many can say that their first command was rotation on a 50-metre sailing yacht either. Many mid-sized vessels are bringing in permanent relief positions in order to allow crew to recharge. Jonathan, captain of a 44-metre world cruising sail yacht, finds this system works for them. He says, "We don't have a fixed rotation, but rather we have a dedicated relief engineer that comes in 4 months a year to give the full-time engineer 3 months off and the boat and engineer 100% of the time. And I get relief in for delivery so that I'm not fatigued for guest trips and don't have to take holiday time during yard or maintenance periods when it's important to have a captain present." So, pros and cons. Rotation is clearly not for everyone or every yacht, but if it's done well and correctly, we can certainly see owners and crew reaping the benefits. A closing thought from Captain Steve. Yachting will no doubt embrace rotation in the same way that the commercial world has eventually, but it will take a few more years yet for the industry to adjust to the idea and normalise. So there you go, that was the article I wrote back in 2023. Apart from that one very angry captain who hates rotation, pretty much everyone I've spoken to in the long term is pro-rotation. So, I mean, I think it's super important to avoid burnout and just, yeah. I'm burning out now because I'm at the end of my season. I really need a holiday and I am pooped. So I'm looking forward to rotating out with no one. That sucks, doesn't it? So yeah, I'm still going to be on call on my holidays. So yeah, maybe I should look into a rotational partner for El Cruco. Do not drop me a line about that. I'm not ready to give up the helm yet. Have a fantastic rest of day wherever you are, and give me a comment. Tell me what you're thinking about rotation. Is it for you? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Would recommend? 0 stars, 5 stars? Spill your beans. Come on, spill your guts. Tell me what's going on.